What's up, Tack MMA? I'm your host, Zach Weicker, and today we got a very special guest. He's a professional fighter with a 13-4 record, coming off a huge victory on the Dana White's Contender Series, earning himself a UFC contract against Samuel Silva. Please welcome Mandel Nallo. Mandel, thank you very much for coming on.
Thanks for having me, buddy.
Of course, and now it has been roughly a month since you won yourself that UFC contract, and in the post-fight presser, you said it hasn't really settled in yet. Now, a month removed from that big fight. Has it fully sunk into you yet that you are a UFC fighter? And if so, how does that feel?
Yeah, it's a funny thing because the job doesn't really change. So it's just a nice feeling to know that uh in the eyes of the general public, the job what you're doing is more legitimate than it was before I was fighting in the UFC. Like I've said this a bunch of times, but I fought in Bellator, and in my eyes, it's the same thing, high level promotion. But the amount of people that would be like, "You ever think about going to the UFC?" as I was like preparing for a Bellator fight. So now I can finally be like, I, I do the job for real. So that's nice.
Yeah, and mentioning it there, fighting for Bellator felt as big as fighting for the UFC because it is that major promotion. But has fighting in the UFC been a lifelong dream of yours? And if so, how much does that mean for you and your family?
I mean, I think every guy who gets into MMA, like that is the ultimate goal, whether they are willing to admit it or not. I am not willing to admit it. So I like the idea of fighting for money in a cage, wherever that may be. There are a lot of good guys. There are a lot of good guys outside the UFC, but one thing I will say is the level of production and the level of care that you receive as a fighter for the UFC is head and shoulders above anywhere I've been. So that is a huge bonus. And then just like because they put on so many cards, it changes the way things are for me and my family because we can actually somewhat plan our lives. Whereas before it's like there might be a card in 4 months from now, or I'm fighting next week. I got to cut weight, like now I can maybe plan my life a little better.
Yeah, and you mentioned the level of care the UFC provides for fighters. So have you been to the Performance Center yet? And if so, what's your thoughts on it?
No, I haven't been to the PI, but I fought in the Apex and then I had media stuff to do the month before and just like they take care of everybody so well. It's such a smooth running machine, Everybody who's there seems to really care about their job and care about the fighters and putting out a good product for the people that are watching. So it really does feel much nicer. You feel like you're a part of something that isn't, slapped together. Whereas, like, I'm sure you've seen behind the scenes of some MMA promotions. It's like they're barely hanging on.
Yeah, definitely. And you mentioned fighting for all those other MMA promotions, and it has been a long journey for yourself being on the pro scene since 2012. So, for the fact that you have been doing this for so long, did you ever think you were going to get the opportunity to fight for the UFC?
Uh, for some reason, I never, yeah, I always assumed I would. Like, it just made sense. I work so hard, I train so much, and I'm good enough. So, like, I never got this hopeless feeling that I know some people get where they're like, I'm never gonna make it. Like, I was always like, yeah, I have to. I'm too good. So, yeah, I always assumed.
Yeah, I love that. And now with the Contender Series, usually Dana White, it's more of a prospect show. You get the younger guys, and now obviously for yourself, you've been in this game for a long time. So did this opportunity kind of feel like a now or never opportunity for you? And if so, how'd you deal with that extra pressure?
In the moment, like when you have a fight to prepare for, you don't really think about it that way. The only thing I was concerned with is I know that Contender Series is not, they're not looking for a guy to go out and win a decision. Like you have to be very special to win a decision on Contender and get a contract. So that was something that was in the back of my mind. Like this has to be a good one. But only after did I realize like for my night to go well, truly go well, I needed to win the fight without injuries. I needed to get a contract. Uh, and I needed to overcome all the stuff that, are negatives on my side. So like my age and my lack of activity or whatever. So I just needed to do something really special to show that all those things are pretty irrelevant when you have a real guy.
Yeah. And you mentioned the fear of obviously going to a decision, but you and the scorecards aren't familiar foes as you never really made it there. You've had five first round finishes in a row. So what do you credit to your ability to be able to finish fights?
Um, I think really like obviously the level of preparation that goes into it. Uh, I would credit that, but all my fights, me and Faraz are always saying, we're going three. It's gonna be a decision. We're gonna outpoint the guy. And I think I'm just mean. When I'm in the cage, I'm I'm a mean guy. I just really don't I don't really think too much about winning small battles. I really just want to do as much damage as possible. That's kind of how I think when I'm in the cage. Meanwhile, in my life, I'm a normal guy.
Yeah, definitely. And in this fight, you finish your opponent with the straight right. You're able to chop him down with those leg kicks. So, as a viewer, it was a great performance. But for yourself, how do you assess and rate your performance in the cage?
Yeah, I thought it was really good. I've had trouble in the past not fighting to my ability. Like in the room, I'm really good, but then I just, I wouldn't be as fast as I normally am, or my reactions wouldn't be there, or my game planning was off, and things just felt pretty perfect. Like that's how I want fights to go generally. Like if the guy's gonna be trying to deal with my leg kicks in that way, he's gonna get messed up, and then eventually, like everybody knows eventually if I hit somebody, they're gonna get hurt bad. Like I'm not like a classic power striker, but I'm accurate enough and my timing's good enough that I do sting if I get the right shot. So I just need to let that happen.
Yeah, and the person you did defeat was Samuel Silva, who is not your ordinary prospect. He was the Cage Warriors champion. You were the underdog going into this fight, so knowing those two stipulations, did it make you feel a little extra special that you're able to beat a prominent opponent in your journey to get that UFC contract?
Yeah, it's nice. I like before the fight, I was telling everybody like this is a UFC level fight. Like this could easily be on a card already. We're both good enough. You don't become Cage Warriors champion by accident. He won a 5 round tough fight against another tough guy right before me. So it is nice. It is good to not because you see some contender like I'm not trashing contender matchups or anything, but you see someone it's like, oh boy, what was this? Who's that guy? So like it's nice to have a high level guy to fight.
Definitely. And in the pre-promo package, you stated that you wanted to show what Tristar fighters really are. So do you believe you're able to do that in this fight?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if the guy gives us an opportunity to finish, we will, and if not, like our technique is just so high level that we're never going to be flabbergasted by anything that happens in there. I think that room at TriStar, we work ridiculously hard.
Yeah. And you've obviously been training at TriStar for quite a while now. So how would you describe your experience there and what are your relations like with your coaches and training partners?
I basically grew up there. Like I was I was a teenager there. The first few times I sparred there, George invited me to go spar in New York in his preparation for the British guy.
Bisping?
No, the other British guy.
Hardy?
No, no, like who did George fight? He had a good left hook. Hardy, you're right.
Yeah.
Sorry, Hardy.
You're good.
Yes. Yeah, so I got flown out when I was like, 19 to New York to train
Yeah.
at Danaher's gym or Henzo's gym. So like the experiences I've had there are ridiculous. Like I grew up with all those guys. We all now the guys who I started with were like we have families, we have truly long careers. Like it's to me it's the best place in the world.
Yeah. And George St. Pierre is one of the greatest fighters in the sport. A lot of people find him to be the greatest fighter of all time. So to have that mentorship at such a young age, how much did that mean to you?
It's huge. Like George's work ethic is pretty legendary, and he imparted that on everybody in the crew. Like I remember him. Maybe this is towards the end of his career, like before the Bisping fight or something. He called a stop to practice and gave this speech. Like he asked everybody to put their hand up if they thought they were going to be world champion, and anybody who didn't put their hand up, he's like, "You guys should leave. This sport is not for guys who just want to do it for fun." Yeah, no, George has been a huge positive influence on all of us.
That's amazing. And another one of your teammates, Zahabi, got a very big fight coming up against Marlon and Vera. So how do you see that fight going down?
I think Eamon smokes him everywhere. Uh, Marlon's obviously dangerous. That's his main thing is that he can do damage, but usually minute to minute he's losing, and then he'll score something big. He'll score a teep up the middle or a knee or something, but he lets fights kind of play out at whatever pace is set, and then if he gets to hurt the guy, then he does well. So I think Eamon's defense is way too strong for that, and it's going to be a good one. I mean, Eamon just keeps climbing. It's great.
Yeah, I agree. It should be a good fight. And it is in Vancouver, it is in Canada. So for you, now that you are in the UFC, how much would it mean for you to be on one of those UFC Canada cards?
Yeah, it's the best. I mean, getting to fight at home, uh, especially because Canada is like we're a big country, but we're kind of treated as a small region by the MMA fan base. So anytime you get to do it in Canada for the Canadian fan base, it makes a big impression.
Yeah, and I definitely think Canadian MMA is on the rise. There's a lot of young prospects coming up in Canadian MMA. But on your opinion, where do you see the trajectory of Canadian MMA?
We are definitely behind, unfortunately, but we have a lot of guys who have a genuine passion for the sport and a lot of knowledge in terms of our the people who came before us, the former fighters and coaches. So we have all the ability in the world to excel, but it is an uphill climb, you know. Other countries definitely support their guys more than more than we do here in Canada.
Yes, I hear you there. And back to your fight. After you did get the victory, obviously you have the chance of interacting with Dana White. So how was that conversation between you two?
It was good. I mean, I I'm sure some people would be more starstruck or something, but I'm 36, you know? So it was just cool to be able to at least say some stuff that was on my mind, you know? Like a lot of times too, after a fight, you're so taken by the moment that you can't really set your thoughts straight, but I'm glad I was able to get my point across.
Definitely. And you mentioned after fight, everyone has their different ways to celebrate a victory. So how do you celebrate winning yourself a UFC contract?
Very uneventful. Just go go hang out, debrief with Faraz and Steve, my cornermen. Um, we watched the fight to make sure any mistakes I made were highlighted, and then bed early with my wife because we had to fly back to take our kids to school the next day. So not, nothing too crazy.
Yeah. And of course, I know in the post-fight presser, you said you want to get back in there soon. So
Mhm.
should we see you next in the cage, or when would you like to go back in the cage?
Honestly, the sooner the better. Like in the subsequent weeks after the fight, I was hoping to get a call for the October show in Vancouver, but that didn't come to fruition, and that's probably for the best. Like there are some small training camp injuries that I need to sort out. Ideally, I would fight maybe in December or there's been rumors of a Toronto show in the early in 2026. I would love to be on that.
Yeah, definitely. And there's a lot of big names in the lightweight division. Is there any dream fights you would like to have?
Ilya. But no, realistically, right now in the next two or three fights, I think the good matchups are guys that you know what they're going to do. They're not a big question mark. I think guys like Fiziev are cool fights. Bobby Green is a beast. Like getting to fight guys that I have looked up to and watched in the past is a fun idea, you know. And eventually, yeah, obviously you want to fight Charles Oliveira, you want to fight Arman Sarukian, you want to fight the top guys.
I love that. That's the right answer there. And of course, you're not in the cage all the time, you're not training all the time. So when you have that yourself some free time, what are some go-to things for yourself?
Yeah, outside fighting, I guess I just like making things. It doesn't really matter what, something that's nice to look at usually. Um, but it could be anything, could be a piece of pottery, could be an image, could be just about anything. And then focusing, we're opening up a gym here in Toronto, Tristar Toronto. So focusing on giving the student base the best experience possible here in Toronto.
Yeah, and on TriStar Toronto, how much does it mean for you to be able to give back to the future of MMA?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's not something I'm focused on right now entirely, but it is exciting to think about. Like once I'm not competing myself any longer, I think I can help young Canadian kids actually see their career through. Like I know what it takes for sure.
I love that. And my final question for you is, as we mentioned earlier on, it has been a long journey to making it to the UFC. So for all those fans that have been with you since the start, do you have any message for them?
Yeah, Rat Garbage loves you, and I appreciate you. I'm gonna, do my part. There's nothing I'm not doing here that I'm not gonna. I don't ever think I let people down, but I will never let myself down in terms of the training. I'm always gonna work exactly as hard as I think I need to. So I really appreciate you, and hopefully some news soon.
Yes, I love that. Is there anything you want to shout out? Anything you want to plug before you get out of here?
Train at TriStar Montreal, TriStar Toronto coming soon, and yeah, go to the website, ratgarbage.ca, buy a shirt.
Mandel, it's more than a pleasure speaking to you. I'm excited to see you back in the cage. Folks, that's all for today. Until next time, peace.